Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We're going to do a little business spotlight today. We're coming to you from many platforms and many channels here at Undefeated Media Studios, and we have a special treat. Here at Undefeated Media, we like to showcase local businesses, and we like to showcase local people who are doing things that they love to do. So today we have a special guest. We have Shoemaker from ActionCOACH. So Carl, welcome.
Thanks, Doug. Great to be here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Awesome. So yeah, Carl, we are all over the internet right now. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitch. We are all over the place, and we have some vital information for everyone out there on the interwebs. And we want to get to know you as a person and how you do your business and what you're passionate about. So why don't you give us a little taste of some stuff about you?
Great, thanks. I'll try to do that. It's funny, I'm all over the place, and yet I feel like I'm right here. So just give you a little bit of background about me. Yeah, you mentioned I'm Carl Shoemaker, and I live here in New Jersey. I've lived here for a number of years with my wife, Michelle. We've raised our kids here. Our kids are actually on their way out doing other great stuff, and my kids have kids now. So I really enjoy my family, and unfortunately, with the current pandemic that's going on, we don't get to spend as much time together as we used to, but technology and Zoom and things make it possible for us to, keep in touch. I had quite an interesting and varied career. I grew up out on Long Island, as a matter of fact. We won't go too far back, but that's it. I went to school at Villanova. I went to graduate school for a while at Columbia as well. My background was really in psychology, believe it or not. But as always, life has its detours, and I wound up going into work for a major retail company back in the day, and actually spent a tremendous amount of time traveling around the world, actually, and became kind of an expert in retail, and especially in retail management. So retail management as the ultimate kind of service business is really all about teams. It's all about process. It's all about being consistent. It's all about training. It's all about delivery of a service. And it's all about doing things as efficiently as you possibly can. That company that I worked with was Toys R Us, which back in the day was just an incredibly great company to be with. And in particular, the part of my career with them that I loved all of it. It was just a great place with a lot of great people. But I traveled around the world to probably 20 some odd different countries. And from the first international store that we opened up as a company all the way till there were 584 international stores, and I had a role in just about every one of them, which was really fascinating. But I also wound up back at the corporate headquarters, leading a department there called continuous improvement. And in continuous improvement, our job was to find processes and systems and develop them if they didn't exist, or purchase them and train people on how to use them in order to make the company much more efficient. So became a bit of an expert in workforce management and planning, but also store operations and scheduling and a whole lot of other things that were able to really improve the financial performance of the company. So that whole idea of continuous improvement, the Japanese have a word for it, they call it Kaizen. Never-ending continuous improvement. That really kind of resonated with me. I left Toys R Us when the company was taken private, went to work for a chain of drugstores here as VP of store operations here in New Jersey, 53 store chain. Brought a lot of the same learnings that I had in a big company management to a smaller company, and was able to help them improve quite a bit and bring that experience and expertise to that company. So I think in a lot of ways, what I've kind of been most passionate about was the ability to help people learn something new and to take past experiences and apply them in a lot of different ways to give people a chance to look at things differently, and then ultimately to approach a problem with a new set of eyes. Right? So that brings us to where I got into ActionCOACH and business coaching. It's not consulting, just to let people know about it. ActionCOACH is the world's #1 business coaching company. It was founded by a guy named Brad Sugars out of Australia. He currently lives in Las Vegas now, and there are literally thousands of coaching offices around the world. 15,000 or so businesses get coached every week by action coaches. Action coaches are their own boss in a lot of ways, but they're working with a tried and true system that's been refined and developed over the course of time by Brad Sugars and his entire team. In fact, input from lots of action coaches. Action coaches get together, and I sometimes joke with people, when you get together with a room full of action coaches, be careful, because they're going to hurt one another trying to coach each other. They can't help themselves, but it's a really powerful tool. It's a powerful system, and it's a community. It's a community of business owners. It's a community of coaches. And so a lot of that really kind of resonated with me. So if you're thinking about this, in a lot of different ways. Yeah, I came from a background with, I almost accidentally got into with a very large company, a $12 billion company at the time. Wasn't that big when I joined them, but it was at the time they were taken private. But wow, a lot of learnings on a lot of things that you learn over time with an expensive, if you will, investment that companies have to make. Well, now you've got a system like ActionCOACH where the coach can bring that kind of view, a savvy business system implemented by savvy business people to work with business owners to get them to where they need to be, right? Which is, in a lot of cases, they work really, really hard, really long hours, and don't make the kind of money that they really deserve to make, the kind of money that they should make because they took the risk to go into business for themselves. So that's kind of it. Now, what kind of programs does ActionCOACH have? Well, a lot of different programs. There's a tremendous amount of content and a lot of approaches. You simplify it and you talk about business coaching in some very simple terms. While we begin with the end in mind, we figure out where the business owner is trying to go. And once we understand that, we have to now know where they are. And when you have those 2 points, you chart a course from where you are to where you want to be. And it may take a whole lot of different steps, and it may, test all of the acumen that business owners and business coaches have. But the role and the goal, if you will, is to learn, right? To learn new things. That's what's so dramatically different about a consultant versus a coach. A consultant, in a lot of ways, is the kind of guy who comes in and looks at what you're doing, and maybe it's like they borrow your watch to tell you what time it is, right? But what a coach does, rather than, for example, handing you a fish, a project, a set of deliverables, they do is they work with you so you can get a lot of learning. And once you've got those learnings, they stay with you forever, right? It's a much stickier, if you will, process than having a consultant come in and kind of work with you and hand you a set of deliverables and take your money and off they go. No, the coaching relationship can be a short-term duration, or it can be a very long-term duration. It depends on what the business owner is looking for, and it depends on what the opportunity is within the business to really grow.
Let me unpack some things for real quick. First off, we want to let you guys know this is completely live, and if you have a question for me or Carl, please put in the comment section. We can bring it up. Reason why I say that, we have our first question. Before I get to that question, I feel I want to interject this too. I feel like me and you have very, very similar mindsets, but in like different realms of the game. So like where Carl's really good at, what Carl does is really like, correct me if I'm wrong, look under the hood, look at the car, tweak things up, lots of plans, lots of strategies to help the car run better and more efficient. And me, similarly, I'm trying to help the car, but I'm on the outside. I'm polishing it up. I'm trying to make it look nice with our cameras or our equipment. So I feel like me and Carl have very similar mindsets when it comes to helping and working with businesses. That's why, it's great to have him here. And here is our first question, because the reason why I say that, because I know we're going to have similar opinions about this. But we have our first question from Jessica Bush. And it is, what's Carl's biggest challenge in dealing with entrepreneurs?
Wow. Thanks, Jessica, for that question. It's an interesting question because, first off, a lot of people who, I don't want to insult anybody, but they think they're entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And in fact, they're probably not as much an entrepreneur as they think they are. I think the biggest challenge, probably to put it into a few words, is to get business owners from the mindset, to get them to where they really could be an entrepreneur. So we're going to talk about the 6 steps later on. Well, if you're really an entrepreneur, you're well up the rungs of the ladders in the 6 steps, right? That you have to learn how to become an entrepreneur. We have to get your leadership skills honed. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you certainly need a really good amount of leadership skill. So we might find out that you're really a manager. You may actually initially be a technician, right, of your craft. Mm-hmm. Not even a really good manager of your craft. People go to medical school, they come out of medical school and they kind of know how to be a doctor. But if they're going to own their own business and their own medical practice, they probably don't know at all how to be a business owner, mm-hmm. right? So getting them from technician to manager and ultimately to leader, that's when you get to be an entrepreneur. So that entrepreneurial level is way up the 6 steps, and was something which I know we're going to talk about, a little bit later on. So that would probably be the biggest challenge.
So, piggybacking off Jessica's thing, because I feel like this has been the story of my life, is now you have this challenge, building that person up to that, right? They also have to buy in. They also have to want to get there and do the work to get there. I feel like a lot of times you can, lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. So like, how do you deal with those challenges, or is that something that, it's you can't really help someone who doesn't want the help?
Well, I turned that around just a little bit. You mm-hmm. can lead a horse to water. When it comes to business owners, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them think, right? I don't coach everybody that I talk to. Mm-hmm. And for that reason, coaching really works if the business owner is receptive to it. If they recognize right up front that it really is focused on them, mm-hmm. it might have a lot to do with their team. But if the team's not performing well, that comes back to the business owner. Mm-hmm. That's kind of that's the focal point. So they have to be willing to look at things with a fresh set of eyes, which is what a coach brings to the table. Mm-hmm. And they have to recognize that they have to change what they're doing, who they are, because you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different results.
100%.
You have to have that. And if there's probably a phrase that we use well, there are a bunch of them, but we test and measure everything we're doing. So you come from the world of marketing, and you know that a very high percentage of marketing efforts aren't as successful as they initially thought.
There's a whole back end of stuff. People look at surface area and what you see on the screen. There's a whole algorithm.
Right. So we've got a really interesting look at anything. It's you test it and you measure it, and if it doesn't work, you change it, you tweak it until you get it to work. Mm-hmm. And that some key concepts, for example, that we want business owners to understand is, what is the acquisition cost for a new customer, patient, client? There's a cost. You have to buy your customers. In fact, it's one of Brad Sugar's books, Buying Customers. Mm-hmm. Everybody should read it. People don't realize that when they go into business, they might buy an office space, they might buy a store, they might buy inventory, they might buy equipment, they might buy a whole bunch of things. They don't realize you're going to have to buy your customers, right? What does that mean? Well, you're going to have to invest in building an audience and drawing people in and getting that first sale and building that customer base, right? Mm-hmm. And the only way to do that effectively is to do it and test and measure the methodology you use and do more of the ones that work and less of the ones that don't, right? Mm-hmm. And constantly tweaking, changing it, improving until it works for you. So that's one of the key things that we work on. I would say in general, but what I find that business owners' challenges, this is why Jess's question is so good, but it's just, you have to identify where the biggest challenges are. And they tend to revolve around, well, it's time, it's team, or it's money, right? The business model may or may not work the way it should, so we may have to tweak that. The team may not be performing well. It's still the responsibility of the business owner, because if they're not,
it's their business.
It's their business. Everything. And if they're not trained on what they need to do, then guess who's going to train them? Mm-hmm. If they have not ever had the business rules explained to them, then whose job is it to do that? The owner. If they haven't been given goals and an action plan, whose job is that? The business owner. So we help them wrap those plans up into ways that they can deliver that information to their employees. It's time, it's team, it's money. It's the business model, it's the training and the hiring process of the team. And then it's the efficiency of the business owner. The business owners may be getting way bogged down and putting in way too many hours. Business owners put in a lot of hours most of the time. Mm-hmm. The key is putting them in on something really productive and not getting distracted with all the stuff that is urgent but not really important. And learning the difference between urgent and important is a really key area of focus with business coaches.
Awesome. Next question we got them rolling in. We got Jack Donahue, and he asks, what advice do you have for a small business owner who is great at his craft but knows little about running a business?
Well, the first piece of advice would be get a business coach. Now, that would seem really self-serving, but so I won't go there with that one. But yeah, read a book. Some really great books out there. Obviously, ActionCOACH, Brad Sugars has got about 15 different books that he's written. Attend a workshop, attend a webinar, ask for some help. You don't have to invest a ton of money. It's one of the reasons, for example, almost all action coaches, I certainly do this. I do virtual workshops, webinars. I will be doing them, I really hope, soon live, again in person, because I like to meet people face to face, but go to them. An example, 6 Steps to a Better Business. The 6 Steps to a Better Business workshop, my guarantee for business owners is come to the workshop. You will learn our 6 steps to a better business. So everything from the basic level, which is mastery, where you master the fundamentals and you set a good foundation for growth in your business through niche, leverage, team, synergy and ultimately results. But while that's a framework for how we do things, what I do is I teach in that workshop, and I guarantee anybody who comes to one of them, they're going to learn strategies that they can take and use right away. And if they do those things, then that will help them in their business. Planning, budgeting, those are the key things that, to Jack's question, build a budget, build a plan, learn what the metrics are that help you drive your business, our key performance indicators, and learn how to apply those things to your team so that they can be more productive. If you're a business owner, I hope you all, as business owners, are watching this, aspire to have people around you that can help us grow the economy, help us grow businesses, help people have, better life in their business. But 10 things like that. Learn those formulas, learn those methods. Even if you're not ready to invest money, learn them. Get started in growing your business. Learn how to build a better Facebook page. Learn how to set up your Google account. Learn how to build a profile on LinkedIn. Turn yourself into an all-star on social media. Learn, read a book, go to workshops. Frankly, give a business coach a call. Give me a call. No charge. I'll give anybody who calls up and asks, I'll give them a business background questionnaire, and I'll give them a 90-minute long coaching session. I'll probably do it via Zoom, and I'll help you come away with at least 3 or 4 strategies that you can try to use that help you turn you into the beginnings of being a business owner as opposed to being a great craftsman or technician.
And really hitting home, you said learn. That was the common theme there. And how do you learn? You got to go do and get the experience. You got to try things out. You got to test and try things out and do it. And you mentioned social media. A lot of people are scared of social media, but you got to figure it out. You got to get your voice right. You got to put stuff out there, and you have to do things. You're not gonna learn by not doing and procrastinating and waiting. And I tell some people who want to start a business, but they're looking for the right time to start that business. You just gotta get out there and start learning and start doing.
Well, it's an old proverb, right? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is right now, right? So, procrastinating does not help you achieve your goals. You have to get out there and you have to try it.
Awesome. And just to remind you guys, we are 100% live. The questions have been rolling in. We appreciate it. Keep them coming. In the meantime, Carl, so we kind of got your story. You can kind of add to that if you want right now as well. But what's the what are you passionate about? What is the thing that drives you? What excites you about being a business coach?
Well, but if there's one thing, right? Mm-hmm. I get kind of the most jazzed about my clients having success. So there's challenges, there's struggles. Overcoming them is really gratifying for a business coach. I think probably most business coaches would agree. When you get results, when I work with business owners, when we're building a budget for 2021, for example, that is 40%, 50% higher than 2020 was now. When 2020 was a struggle year for some business owners, but a pretty decent year for other business owners. Everybody had a different result through the pandemic. But that feedback that, wow, I get it. And I've had a couple different kind of especially kind of gratifying things, like when a client looks at you, and this happened more than one time, and they kind of look at you and they say, I get it. I finally get it. You're trying to get me to where I can make good decisions faster. I said, that's it on the nose. If you have the information, if you have the numbers, if you know your history, if you have a plan and a budget, and you know your numbers, you can make good decisions faster. If you don't know your history, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have your budget lined up, then guess what? Your decisions are probably going to be pretty much 50-50. And that's no way to run a business. It's no way to make big investments of your time or your money. You're going to manage every dollar in your business and every dollar out. And when you understand those numbers, that's really fun. That's gratifying. So, having somebody, hit a home run, have their numbers really jump, have things start to really click for them. And it doesn't have to be always about money. Sometimes the breakthroughs are all around, the team. It's all around getting, people kind of really gelling together as a team where everybody pulls together and it really achieves more. That's another area that's really gratifying. It's another area that's really, helps business owners kind of get to the next level. Because if you imagine it, if you're holding on to everything, if you're a business owner out there watching this right now and you're holding on to everything and everything is like, well, if I don't do it, it won't get done. If I had to explain it to somebody else, then, I might as well do it myself because it'll take less time if I just do it than if I explain it. That is only true literally once. You have got to train people on what to do, and you've got to give them both the responsibility and the authority to do things for you. Otherwise, you are going to be that technician or craftsman forever. And if that's what you want, that's okay. Just do it with your eyes open. Make that decision, which is thinking about what you really want, right? Is your business model really giving you what you want or not? And if it isn't, then change it. Right?
Hit them with my favorite quote. If you're doing all the work, you know what I'm talking about?
No, which one?
If you're doing all the work, you're not a business owner.
Oh yeah, that's a job.
It's my favorite quote.
JOB. Just over broke, right? It's not a business, it's a job. So if you bought yourself a job when you get your business, then you really want to be a business owner. Then you need to change the way you do things, and you need to learn some of these key systems and processes that we talk about. And it also literally does not matter. I mean, I have coached restaurants and manufacturing, printing people, contractors, trades, professional services, attorneys, printing, banking. It doesn't matter. Lots of different types of business. The basic business principles, the business chassis, if you will. You used a car analogy before. Mm-hmm. Well, you come to one of my workshops, you're going to learn all about our 5 ways, which is one of the most important formulas you'd ever learn, which is like a chassis for every business. It underpins every business. And it's basically the leading indicators that help you drive your business, right? Mm-hmm. The leading indicators are the things you need to spend your most time on, right? Everybody talks about, I want more sales, right? I want more sales, or, I want more customers, or especially I want more profit. Perfect. That's great. That's important, but you're wasting your time if that's what you focus on. You need to focus on what leads you to those things, because those things are results. So you need to understand what underpins that, mm-hmm. the chassis that makes that up. That's why you need to understand the 5 ways formula. Again, you should come to one of my workshops and you can learn about that. Frankly, I'll put this out there too, and I've done this many times before for people. All you have to do is email me, write me. I'll send you a quick little PDF on the 5 ways formula and the strategies that we use. And I explain the 5 ways and discuss it in just about every workshop I ever do, because it's that important that people should know it. And every business owner should understand what underpins their business, right? How many leads you get, what your conversion rate is. That means how many of your leads that come into your funnel do you turn into paying customers? You should understand what the average transactions per year, number of times somebody buys from you. And you should understand what the value of each of those transactions is. And then ultimately, you should understand what your profit margin is. If you know those 5 things and you work on those 5 things, and we have literally in this PDF that I'll share with anyone who asks for it, hundreds and hundreds of strategies on how to work on those 5 ways so that you can improve them, right? You can improve the number of leads in your business. You can improve your conversion rate. Think about that for a minute. The leads are the expensive stuff, right? You got to do marketing. You got to get people interested in you. Conversion rate is when you take somebody from being interested into being a paying customer or client. Right? So is your conversion rate good? It means is your sales process working? If it isn't, then we know what to work on. Right. So this is how we figure out what things to work on, and that's how we start working on it. So 5 ways is another key, about the most important formula you could understand in business. All right.
Awesome. Guys, keep the questions rolling in. We're still live here. Little business chat, little business spotlight with Carl Shoemaker, if you're just tuning in from ActionCOACH. So we talked about your story. We talked about why you're passionate about. How about we give a little value to our viewers here. Can we give some tips, some tricks? How can we help businesses today? What are some strategies we can apply today?
I think I just laid out one of the most important things, which is you've got to understand, for example, what your conversion rate is probably one of the most important things. So if you're talking to a lot of people and not turning them into paying customers, then there's a huge opportunity there. So here's one along those lines. So I offered to you call, write, email. We'll put the phone number. We'll put the email address in the chat. We'll put it out there so you guys can see it. We'll put it on this post. You should connect with me on LinkedIn, write, email, follow me on, like my page, follow me on Facebook. I would say this, also say, come to a workshop. But my first thought, when I start with a business, working with a business, one of the first things I do is something called the business background questionnaire. Because I offer to anybody a complimentary coaching session. That means you give me some information about your business, and I prepare myself, and then we sit down. We can do it via Zoom. We can do it. And we specifically talk one-on-one about your business. With a bit of background that you've given me, I can then prepare some thoughts about your business, and we can understand and explain the different types of coaching, the value of coaching, and start to figure out things like, can I add value to your business? What coaching program would be best for you? How can I help you? Are you really coachable? You pull all those things together. So anybody who'd like a complimentary coaching session, you ask, and I'll set that up. We'll do that. I think the thing that you could take away from this, even if you don't want to go that step, take the number of people you talk to, do it on a monthly basis, do it for the entire year. Look up how many leads, whether it's just number of emails, email approaches, phone calls from your phone list, people who have contacted you, any number of different ways they contact you. Compare that to number of paying customers you have. And you've now just approximated your conversion rate. Learn what your conversion rate, almost without fail. When I talk to a business owner, I ask them what their conversion rate is. And I ask them if they measured it or if they just kind of estimating it. And they say, well, I'm kind of estimating it, but I think it's really high. Okay, what's really high? Well, they'll say, well, it's 70 or 80%. Well, which is it? Is it 70 or is it 80? Well, let's say 75. Fine. Let's say 75. Not because I said it, but because you said it, right? So now that we've kind of done that and approximated that, so go home and measure it. And let's look at it. Almost without fail, it is far lower than they thought it was. And then they're usually kind of bummed about that. And I'd say to them, don't be upset about that. that means we know what to work on. It means we have a point of focus right there, right now, that can give you a jump start and get you some good results quickly. Because it means you've got people interested in you, contacting you, but you're not closing the deal. So if your conversion rate is lower when you measure it than you think it is, then we've got a whole bunch of strategies to help you build that conversion rate. So there's a tip for you right now. If you're a business owner watching this, listening to this, figure out how many people, of all the people you're talking to, figure out how many of them are actually paying customers. And when you know that conversion rate, let me know. We'll figure out how to help you improve that. And that right there is money in the bank.
And there's a lot that goes into that. So like, you might not be converting because of X, Y, or Z. Like when you're presenting your, let's say, meal or plate to a potential customer, you have, the main dish, you got the sides. There's a lot that goes into converting someone. Without naming names or businesses, whatever, I had a client who was just in the service business, and she was just getting people just to get people to be employees, and she was in the service business, and I was explaining, like, we call it burning territory, where like for her industry, if someone comes in and sits in her seat and is not satisfied, they're not going to come back. I'll just say this, it was haircuts. So they're not going to come back. So if you have people who are not doing things, the right way, yeah, you might have a lot of people working for you and whatever, but there's a lot that goes into it that you want that person to come back. And if you're not, so like there's things you need to look at in your business that might hurt your feelings. You might, like you said, your conversion rate's not the best. Maybe your product needs to be looked at and needs to be tweaked a little bit so you can give that great product so people want to come back. Maybe the way that people are viewing you or seeing you or your marketing is a little off, and you're not communicating the right message. They won't convert. It's a full plate meal that you're serving out. So every dish, every entree, everything needs to be on point, or else you're not going to resonate with that customer.
Well, it's right. And that's exactly true of every business. And you typically, it's the last impression people have of the experience of being with you that they take away with them. Mm-hmm. So you used to worry about this in retail businesses all the time. People, when they first come in, they want a clean, nice looking facility. They want product. They want the value. They want the offering. They want it in stock. They want the pricing to be right. They want friendly people who are smiling at them, who are helping them. You could do all those things right, all the way through the process. You can go all the way around, and then they're leaving your store, your supermarket, your store, whatever it is. And all they want to do is give you their money and take the products with them and go. And you can make that experience easy, smooth, seamless, quick, painless, or you can make it difficult, problematic, slow, time-consuming. And guess what? That impression, either way that goes, is what they take away when they walk out the door. So, yeah, you have to worry about all those things. It's also much, much easier to keep an existing customer than it is to replace them. Right. So just like we said before, as we work down those 5 ways when I'm working with clients, well, if you're not converting, that's your first step. But guess what? What if they're not buying more than once or twice a year? I mean, other than a funeral parlor, right, with one transaction per customer, people, you want them to be repeat customers. And then you go a little further than that. You say, okay, well, maybe I can get them to buy more often from me. But wow, what are the chances? What are the opportunities would I have if I could get people to spend a little bit more money every time they buy? And how would we do that? Lots and lots of ways you could do it, but just add on additional products or services, or, create bundles or different packages. There's so lots of ways to do that. So now you've got existing customers who buy more often and then spend more every time that they do it. Special sales, friends and family, lots of things we could do. We've got to look at it, and we've got to be willing to try. And when we do those kind of things, guess what? The opportunity can be really amazing. I think that's the thing that, opportunity today, as much as we've got a challenging time right now, the opportunity is there. If you're a local business, everybody that I'm dealing with right now has had to pivot and change and adapt. But if you've done it and done it well, then, guess what? You've got a community that probably wants to support you. So take advantage of that, offer more value to them and figure out what they want and what they need, and then put it out there, put yourself out there and offer it to them. So, I think that's a really key thing that especially small businesses, the thing that small businesses should be that big businesses really have a difficult time with is being nimble, being able to be, quick to change, quick to adapt, quick to pivot. Tons of restaurant owners around the area who never worried about curbside pickup or never thought they had to do delivery or never did catering before have adapted to doing all of those things in order to keep things going. Because they had to.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Even, if all you're trying to do, if nothing else had happened untoward, except that you wanted to grow your business, then you've got to listen to your customers and figure out what they want and adapt and give them what they're looking for and do it better than the big guy can do it.
Perfect example. So before COVID, I've had many business owners say, older generation who don't really understand Facebook. Facebook is stupid. I don't need to be on Facebook. I don't need to be on this. I don't need to be on that. And as soon as COVID hit, coming to me, freaking out, how do we do this? How do we do that? And the reason why I love that you said nimble is that you have the power to shift, to put more money and effort into one thing quicker than the bigger business does. And going into the guerrilla marketing mindset, you want to cash in on the lowest possible point of entry to get the maximum results, right? So a $10 Facebook ad that can reach just as many people as a $5,000 billboard, you want to do those things as a smaller business because you're going to get maximum attention. And that's all marketing is just attention, right? So, with the situation now, you have a lot of businesses who are forced to make that jump into this digital world and do this type of marketing and so on and so forth. And let me tell you this too, bigger businesses, when they catch on to this world, they're going to be dumping huge budgets into this digital marketing, social media stuff. And this is all business. It's all supply and demand. It's going to make the prices go up for everybody else. So you might as well do it sooner rather than later because there's going to be a next wave. There's going to be a next thing. Google ads, for example. Google ads were great 5 to 10 years ago. You type in car dealership and for 5 cents a click, you would get that click, right? Now every dealership's doing it. It's going to cost $10, $20, $100 a click for the word car dealership because everyone's buying. It's supply and demand. And it's the same thing with these social media platforms where the smaller business could really cash in and get out there. And once the big business jumps in and puts their $1 million budget in, it's going to raise the prices for everybody else.
One of the key concepts that we really love to impress upon business owners. Of course, I talked about testing and measuring earlier. Mm-hmm. So you're going to invest your money, you're going to spend it, you want to find out what your return you're getting for it. But here's the key concept is around that cost of acquisition for a client and then the lifetime value. So if you get a client and you can keep a client, if they're a customer who comes to your restaurant, they really love your restaurant and they come to your restaurant once a week, once a month, 5 times a year, whatever it is, you can approximate what the lifetime value of that client is. Well, if you could get more people in that and then get them there more often, right? That's how you're taking the acquisition cost and bringing it down, and you're taking the lifetime value and bringing it up. Mm-hmm. And that is how you get leverage in a business. So testing and measuring and figuring out. And in terms of, social media, just think about it like any media or any marketing, right? So yeah, people used to place newspaper ads all the time and they used to be in the yellow pages all the time. Well, guess what? The world has changed. Social media is not going away. Mm-hmm. You need to be there. You need to learn how to do it. We can help you with all of that stuff, but learn how to do it. Now, you could be in a position where you can't afford to pay somebody to do it now, but learn how to do it. Learn how to do what you have to do today. But also, if you're in a position where you can afford to pay somebody to do it, then you need to know what you're getting. You need to understand it because the world has changed. So you're not just plunking down your money for a newspaper ad and just poof, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're taking your provider who's giving you content or running your social media for you, and you're kind of, I don't want to say keeping them honest, but you're managing your business, right? Nothing to do with keeping somebody on. You're managing your business, which means you're managing your dollars in and your dollars out. So if somebody's doing this stuff for you, you've got to be in that position where you know what you're getting, right?
Let me piggyback. Exactly. So like I could be the greatest golfer in the world, but if you don't understand golf, you don't know what the rules are, what's going on. So you have to understand it so you can hire the right person. If you don't understand it at all, you don't know what you're hiring. You're hiring the first person that says, I can do this for you. If you understand it, if you work with it and you kind of put the time into to basically 100% understand what's going on, then you can hire the right person to maximize your results.
Right. Right. You always, with every service, with every product or service you're getting, it doesn't, you think about this as if you're a business owner and your business is, pest control. Well, guess what? There's lots of pest control people out there. What's your unique selling proposition? What makes you different than somebody else? What value do you offer that the other guy doesn't offer? If you can't put that message together in seconds, then how are people going to make that decision, right? They have to be able to understand what value you bring. So that's true. Unique selling proposition, your guarantee, what makes you different, those are all the key things that you want to be able to put together into where that belongs. That belongs on the wall in your office. It belongs in the head of every employee you have. And where else does it belong? In every marketing message you put out there, right? Action Coach vision, world abundance through business re-education. Every action coach knows that phrase, right? We use that. I'm working on world abundance through business re-education right here in my little corner of New Jersey. I want business owners to have more than they have today. That's my goal. I want them to provide for themselves and their family for what they want. I'm not trying to give them the business I want them to have. I want them to have the business they want. And everybody performs better with a coach. Every business should have a coach, right? And also, I think another thing to maybe bring up, this is kind of so related, is the culture. The culture that you have in your business. You're a business owner, you need to define what that culture is. If you can't define the culture that you want in your business, then guess who's going to do it? Everybody else, right? Your employees, your customers, everybody else. So if you want a specific kind of service provided 100% without fail, without exception, you need to define what that is. You want people who work for you to be say what they do what they say every time, smile, offer great value. Then guess what? Define that. And here's the tough part for business owners. You got to model that same behavior. If you want the people in your team to deliver a certain way, you have to treat them, they're your team members. You have to treat them like they're your customers. So if you don't model that behavior, why would you expect them to do that for your clients or customers? Right. So these things are somewhat the key things. And, we're touching on so many different things that we work on with clients. There's just so much of it that everybody needs to, have a good understanding of that. And in a lot of ways, you could have gone to school to become an attorney, an accountant, an engineer, whatever else. But I kind of have not only were you maybe not exposed to these things, even if you were exposed to it, we could stand to be reminded of this stuff literally every single day, right? Because it's that critical to being able to have a business and drive your business forward and drive a team to perform better. So you need to be reminded of these things, literally every single day. It's why we cover certain things time in and time out with clients. always kind of keep reminding people of these issues and these values and this proposition of what you're trying to do, and making sure everybody in the team is seamed up and talking about it.
Awesome. So just remind you guys once again, that we are live, and you have the treat to ask Carl Shoemaker from ActionCOACH any question you'd like in the comments section, and we'll answer it live right now. And while you guys are cooking up more questions, Carl, anything else you want to touch base on? I know you got a lot of programs. I know you got a lot of seminars. Anything else you'd like to touch?
Yeah, certainly. I'd like to, but just put a couple different things out there, because we have lots of different programs. I literally can craft a program for just about any business owner, so people don't have to be concerned that this is a huge investment. Yeah, it's an investment. It's certainly an investment, but we guarantee results, right? Our ActionCOACH guarantee is we're gonna sit down. When we start out with somebody, one of the first things we do is we do an alignment. We essentially bring into alignment the business owner and the company's goals and coaching program. So they're in alignment, so we know what results we're shooting for. That alignment is typically between a half day and a full day session of really a deep dive to understanding what a business owner, and that's one of the first things we do before we start with a coaching client. Coaches, people can make a shorter term commitment. They can make a longer term commitment. I have some clients who've been with me since I started my coaching practice. And they understand and see the value of it. And their growth has been significant and has been steady. And therefore the value is there. But we have lots of different programs. We can do just a limited number of coaching hours spread out over a period of time. We can do one-off programs. I have a program called Growth Club. Growth Club is literally one of the neatest programs. It's a 90-day planning session. It's done in a group with other business owners, where what we do is we dive in to what happened in the past 90 days and what the goals are for the next 90 days. And when you come away from this program, which is basically a little more than a half a day workshop with other business owners, what you leave there with is a priority list summarized in one page. You get a workbook, you get a pre-workbook, you get a half a day worth of learning, but that real value at the end of the whole thing is a one pager with your top priorities to work on for the next quarter. Because if there was, one way to kind of really drive home improvement in the business, it's to select specific priorities to work on, and don't move on to the second priority until you finish the first one, right? And the other part of it would be to weigh these different objectives and put the most important ones at the top of the list and do them first. The ones that give you the most value first, that's where you put your energy. So that's Growth Club. We do it 4 times a year. I have group coaching, where basically we have a much smaller investment than one-on-one coaching. I never put more than 4 business owners together in a group. We meet virtually. We meet 2 times a month. It's about 75 minutes, but I never put more than 4 into a group coaching session, because I want everybody to have some time specifically to talk among themselves. And each session has a curriculum. Each session has a real coaching focus, and then specific time spent on their issues, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, the gold standard is one-on-one business coaching. That's where we meet either twice a month or 4 times a month, one-on-one, business owner and coach, specifically talking about their issues, their challenges, and driving forward on their objectives. We have a program, we have a formula we follow on what the coaching session looks like. And if you're a one-on-one client, in addition to the one-on-one coaching, you get access to me in between for other questions that come up. You're automatically included in the 90-day planning session called Growth Club. And I think one of the things that my clients have always appreciated, that, once you're a one-on-one client, you're always going to get a call back from me if you have challenges or questions. I've had clients who just said, I really needed to talk to you about something before I make this. I sign this contract. I make this I make this move, I make this change, I hire this employee, I whatever issue it is, they get a chance to pick up the phone and get some input from me on that. So those are the kind of programs. It's a lot. Not thinking you can absorb all of this from just listening to me now, but certainly happy to talk to anybody about that. There's a program for every business owner, from a startup business all the way through to a big mature business with doing millions of dollars.
This brings us to our next question from Jack again. You spoke earlier about workshops. Do you have any of them coming up in the near future?
I do. I have one in the second week of December, and I'm going to be publishing a lot of information of that. It's going to be virtual at this point still. I don't recall off the top of my head, but we'll get some information out there to everybody about what the next workshop is. The workshops tend to be either the basic business coaching workshop, social media workshop, team building. So there's a bunch of them. But look, I put them out there for everybody, for anybody who wants to join and attend. And be great to see you on one of them.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jack.
If you guys still have any questions, now's the time. We are coming to the tail end, so get your questions in the comments section now if you'd like to ask them. Thank you, Jack, for that question as well. So yeah, Carl, what else you got? What else?
One of the things one more thing that I wanted to kind of talk about, which I think is could be really important for business owners. We have a really powerful tool. It's a business plan. It's a workshop. It's also a system. This is not one of my free workshops, but this is the real deal business plan workshop. It's actually business coaching wrapped together with a business plan. You get a dashboard. You get the output document is a full-blown business plan. It's about a 45-page business plan. And just to cover some of the highlights of this business plan, just to put this in a framework. So this is not just for startups, right? But it's for established businesses who maybe haven't done a business plan in the past or really want to get to the next level. But basically what we do is we give you access to your own dashboard to build your business plan. You get 2 days of coaching from me on how to use the business plan system. And what we do, we separate usually the 2 days by a week's time. We teach you how to use the system, wrap it up with a whole lot of coaching strategies. You get started on building your business plan. You come back again, you go through the second session, we get the second half of it. Now you've got the training on how to do this. You've got the dashboard where you enter in all your own numbers. You're done with all of that. You get the output document, which is about a 45-page document. Inside that document, where you have the dashboard, you can go in there and modify it and change it. Inside that document, you've got your P&L. You've got 1 year, 3 year, 5 year projections. You've got sections on key employees, key stakeholders. You've got your growth plans all wrapped together in your ActionCOACH strategies. And it's got all the major components that anybody like a bank or lender would be looking for if they were going to give financing to you. So again, a very powerful tool. I've done this with startups. I've done it with established businesses. So if you're looking to start up a business or looking to take your business to the next level, this is a program that can really be a great solid foundation, a starting point. And you've got that tool then, you've got the business plan. When you're all done with that, you've got a bunch of learning, you got your business plan, and you go off and get it. What typically happens though, if we do the business plan, we come up with a lot of strategies, and guess what? Then we want to start a coaching relationship and we take everything to the next level. So it's one of those things I also wanted to make sure we covered. I know we put a lot out there.
A lot of info out there.
I would suggest, like anything else, you probably feel the same way. Pick up the phone, folks. Make a phone call. Send me an email. Look for my workshops. Put them out on Eventbrite, Facebook, on LinkedIn, a whole bunch of different places, because the workshops are painless. The only thing you have to invest is your time. And I'm absolutely sure you'll come away with some strategies that you can take and you can use, and they'll help you in your business regardless. And, everybody should be trying to do that and do it as soon as they can, right? There's no time like the present. By the way, if you have not built a budget for 2021, you haven't built a plan yet, what are you waiting for?
Some people are still in 2019, Carl.
What are you waiting for? Yeah, if you're one of those people who's still writing 2019 on your checks when you write a check. But yeah, build a budget, build a plan for 2021. Start now. And, if it's not way bigger than 2020 was, then let's talk about it. Because there are a whole lot of opportunities out there, I think, for people to make a pivot, make a change, and move things forward for next year. So hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving. I hope everybody has a marvelous holiday period. And let's get 2020 past us, and let's make 2021 bigger and better than it ever was. Right?
100%,
Thank you.
100%.
Thanks to everybody who was listening.
So it's a great quote. I think it's Jim Rohn. Success leaves clues. So best way to describe, I feel like, today's session with Carl Shoemaker, the Action Coach, is you could go do the work. You could watch this podcast 5 or 6 times, get the clues, or you can contact, Carl or myself and get the blueprint, get the plan without all the time and effort of finding those clues. You have a plan, you have a strategy that would save them a lot of time and effort and help their business.
Well, we've got a system.
We got a system.
We get a system and we apply it, and it works. So. Great.
Nice. Well, great podcast today. Thank you, Carl, for coming to the studio. Thank you guys for watching. We are across a lot of platforms and channels. So whatever one you're watching on, please like and subscribe, because we're going to have more content like this. And have a great day.
Great.